Hey there, gang. Well, guess what it is? It's Wednesday training. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be touching base on module number 4. Hope you've had a great week. Puts lots of things into place. And hopefully, for those of you guys that are in the Sales Authority Implementation Program and the SAC, the Sales Authority Club, you've got your, let's say, your notes out. It all comes, you can do it on the computer, but also you can print them out. I think it's always better if you can actually write them out. So today we're going to be going through module 4, chapter 2. I've actually added some extra stuff in there for you today. It's a little bit longer than just 3 or 4 or 5 minutes or whatever, because I'm going to add some extra things for you, because there's lots of things that have changed in the last 5 or 6 months. And when it comes down to the whole process of finding compelling reason, the compelling reason has to be established well and truly before you present prices. This Friday, we're actually going to be doing in the Sales Authority Club. And for those guys that are watching from the Sales Authority Club, you know, we've got our quarterly workshop. It's all about asking and getting people to say yes. But when do they start saying yes? Well, as soon as you open your mouth. So what I'm going to show you today are some really cool things on what you need to do that you can go back to module 4 and review. Because if you don't do these things, doesn't matter how good a closer you are, it's going to be more difficult. So Darren went through and made sure you understood how important it was in module 4, chapter 1 last week on what you need to do to have a needs analysis. A lot of people say, I can keep it in my head. Let me just tell you right now, that is a big mistake. Trying to qualify someone with just using what's in here is not going to work. There are too many questions to ask, and the skill is not just asking the questions, it's listening to the answers and asking questions about those answers. So this part of the module that I'm going to show you today is about positioning, some body language skills, some of the soft skills that we all like to play with. And by the way, it's not always about sales, it's about being able to connect. So get your trusty pen out. Get your notes out for those in the Sales Authority Implementation Program. And if you're not, you can let us know. And if you'd like to become part of the Sales Authority Club or the Implementation Program, let us know. So I'm going to share my screen now a little bit, and I will take you through what we're going to do and just take some notes down. It will be important that you do that today. All right. I'm sure you can see the screen. How to establish compelling reason, compelling argument, the agitator. What's an agitator? Well, we all know that the number one motivator in human behavior is to avoid a discomfort, a worry, and then instantly see there's a solution. It's not, the number one motivator isn't pain, it's the avoidance of it. Because we all want pleasure. They might not be in pain, but they want to avoid it, or they could be frustrated, worried. Now, last week, Darren went through this quite in detail. And today what I'm going to do is now take you through chapter 2. Chapter 2 is all about making sure that we understand that you are an expert that cares and then can present the solution. So here's a by the way. What I strongly recommend you do before you go into your presentation, always prepare something to give the person before you do your presentation. Now, whether this is via Zoom or whether it's face-to-face, make sure it has a reciprocity. So on your telephone call or on your qualification conversation or they call them discovery calls now, make sure you find out something that you can give them and ask them, how about I put that in a bit of a success plan for you? How about I put it into a action plan for you? And I'll give it to you when we catch up, online or face-to-face. Or eyeball to eyeball. We call that eyeball to eyeball is online these days now. And belly to belly is in person. So that's what that means. So I recommend that you use reciprocity. Reciprocity is a wonderful process on getting things done for the person and reminding them you're bringing to give them before you turn up. So it's not just having a sale, they're going to receive something of value. Value is critical, and value from an expert. In other words, it doesn't always have to be about your product or service. It could be completely peripheral. Tea, coffee, hot chocolate, get it ready if they're coming into your place. If you're going to go to their place, maybe have one ask if you get a takeaway. Obviously, that's difficult on a Zoom, but you'll actually send them something they can actually get maybe tangibly, or prepare something to show them and then give them a download. Caring experts have a higher closing percentage. So put it in an envelope, put a name on the envelope. Make sure you mark up if it's on paper or something, and make sure you have their name on it, highlight it so you spend a bit of time. The next thing is, whereas a lot of states, some of you guys over in other countries might be able to go and see people face to face. Now, there's the social distancing component that's come into vogue, hasn't it? Social distancing has been as a very important part of our world right now. At 1.5 meters, making sure that you keep that. You might be wearing masks and all sorts of stuff. But for those of you that haven't got to have your social distancing, we all know that in a perfect world, back in the old days, there was 4 positions. The first one is the shout zone. Now, shout zone is at 1.5 meters. So we're going to have to be a little bit more vocal. And that's usually not the ideal place to be, but we've got to go with what is available to you. I've got some strategies to show you if you have to be in that shout zone. That can be quite disconcerting, but I'll show you how to fix it. The rapport zone is where you can actually touch that person. Now, if you've got very long arms, that might work, but you can touch that person's shoulder. And the intimate zone is when they get close to you. Now, we can still do this with the COVID. I'm going to show you how. And then the domino effect is when you actually got presenting to a number of people. If they're a couple or a couple of people that are friends and they don't have to be in that social distancing, get them to group together. And that makes a bigger difference. Don't have them split up. Never have them, on either side of you. But let's talk about a couple of other things that are important now. If you look at the one in the middle, this is the person in these zones. Now, again, with COVID, that's maybe going to be different. But if you can get into that rapport zone, and that's where you want to be, the rapport zone, next to the person, not across from the person, but next to the person. Perfect. And then get them to lean forward to look at your paper or iPad and then lean back. That's called craning. When we do our face-to-face training in our Sales Authority Club, and also when we go in-house, we do a lot of practice on those body language skills. Matching, mirroring, pacing, leading, eye patterns, all those fun things. But not for today. In a perfect world, again, we would have 2 people. They would be close enough to each other and you would stay on the side of them. Never have someone either side of you. If you've got someone on the left and someone on the right, you're going to be talking to this person and this person. It's called dead man's land. Breaks rapport, and you're going to get someone maybe giving a glance. This person's looking over there. They're going, no, 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 you look over here. Sign language. And then we got the domino effect here. You'd bring that person all the way around to here. We're good to go. Now, again, I know I'm very cognitive of what's happening out there in the world right now. So we've got to adapt. Now, how do we adapt? We've got to have the rapport zone, the intimate zone. We want to get in there, don't we? Because it makes an enormous difference. But a COVID positioning is different. You can wear a mask. And that's going to make it a lot safer. And people maybe get into that rapport zone, possibly. However, if you look at the bottom screen here, there's a Perspex screen. These are very inexpensive. You can get them at most of the hardware stores these days. Now, these people are sitting aside from each other. But in a perfect world, you might have it next to the person and have the screen next to the person. That means you can stay in the rapport zone. And if they move a bit closer to you, you can show them, like that lady is showing that person there, they can show the piece of paper. Or if it's not on paper, down in the bottom left-hand corner here, you can see we can get some big screens on your computer. You get a computer screen and make sure they can see it. And you can type some things on it, and even the touch screens. And that's where we're going these days. And you can be behind the Perspex. Now, if you can't be behind the Perspex, you're going to have to be in the shout zone. But how are you going to present your product or service, or maybe the price presentation? Well, you're going to have a visual. Do not do an auditory close. We're going to do a lot of that on Friday. So mask, stay in the outside the zone. Okay, we have to yell at them. Or maybe invest in a piece of Perspex. Yeah. I've seen a lot of businesses do this, and it's been very, very successful. Doesn't have to be too high, as long as it's up here, and they can hear you. Put a couple of holes across the top, not in the middle, across the top, so it can hear the people. Now, the voice will go over the top of it, but I can assure you those couple little holes, just drill a few holes there, make sure it looks nice, it's all good. So having this protocol for face-to-face needs to be in place so we can get into the rapport zone and possibly the intimate zone with that piece of Perspex, just like that lady is doing over here with a mask on. Well, see, that lady is there and that gentleman's there. He's showing them that. That's pretty close. That's a rapport zone. But if they went around to the side and had that screen on the side, that person would be able to get closer. Okay? I'm sure you get the message. The next thing is, how do we do this when we are, let's say, on Zoom? How do we get the intimate zone? How do we connect with somebody? This is a big challenge right now. And one of the things that we've been doing over the last, 5 or 6 months, we've developed processes to sell via Zoom. Selling via Zoom will actually become an essential skill in the not too distant future. The selling via Zoom has lots of new skills you require. Plus, you can still use your sales process, but if you can sell via Zoom, you're going to be far more valuable. There are additional skills. We have a program now we're going to be launching in the next week or two, and it's going to be to how to sell by Zoom. We're going to have a short webinar for about an hour, and then we'll have some people that want to then learn the skills, and you learn by doing. We're going to teach you live how to do it properly. So let me show you some of the things that you need to really get so you can get into the zone, but it's a different zone. It's the online zone. So let me actually just share my screen again, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay? Not hard. Easy to do, but easy not to do. The next part is, as I said, we're going to be doing our selling via Zoom. If you're interested, let us know. It's all about getting you ready for what I'm going to show you right now. The big rock is Zoom. If it's Zoom, there's going to be other platforms, I know. But when we're talking to somebody on a camera, what we tend to do is do this. Watch my eyes, watch my eyes. They'll look down at the screen. When I'm looking at the screen, I'm giving you eye contact. But as far as the person is concerned on the other side, you are disconnected. Yeah. The only way we can actually connect is through the eyeball. It's eye to eye, eyeball to eyeball, not belly to belly. We can't get into that zone, but if we got eye contact, and there are some skill sets called permissioning that you'll need to learn when doing it online. But let me rest assure you, the skill here is you must learn how to build and do rapport in person as well as online. And the way to do that is to use your eye contact. Make sure you look straight into the camera and look at them in your peripheral vision. So this is about building rapport and making sure you're ready to present your prices or whatever. If you're online, look at that camera. Don't look at the computer. On the other side of the equation, if you're going to belly, have a piece of Perspex, put a couple of holes in the top, put it next to the person so you can get into that intimate zone or at least the rapport zone. You want to try to avoid being in the shout zone with a mask on. So you'll have to adjust it. Everyone's a little bit different, but I can assure you, doing a little bit of preparation, if you're doing stuff belly to belly and also on Zoom, these are really essential skills. Now, 80, in some cases 90% of your sale is in qualification. Listening and understanding people quickly, maybe adjusting to their behaviors, important, but don't rush this. So many people rush this. They skip through their qualification modalities. Boy, oh boy, that's tough work. 90% in some cases. I know some people that say they can actually do this without actually having a form or having actually a prompt. You can either get the person to fill it in before they arrive. We get lots of things like Google Docs, Get them to complete it when they're face-to-face or belly-to-belly with you. If you want to do it via Zoom, send them the document beforehand, but you can still use a paper format. And you know what? If you're not technically orientated, just stay with it. Once you've actually go through this is really critical. As Darren said last week, the needs analysis is an essential tool. Gone are the days of actually winging this. You only get one chance. And if you muck it up, you can go through all of your explanation, your demonstration, your test till the cows come home. By the time you get to the price presentation, there's no compelling reason to buy your product. The pain of pain might be far greater than the pain of staying the same. That would be a disaster. And then you have significant follow-up. And who likes follow-up? If you want to close effectively, you've got to do your needs analysis properly. So, as I said, 80 to 90% of the sale is what we're talking about here. So let me take you through that and show you some of the skills that we want you to put into place just for Chapter 2. 80% of the sale, as I said, in some cases 90. So how do we do it? Well, the first thing is you need to have sufficient rapport, enough rapport. It's no longer having massive rapport. Gone are the days of having to be your best friend and overdo the relationship thing. We still need to create that relationship, and you can only move at the speed of trust. So there needs to be some trust mechanisms which are essential that you do. Now, if you're actually really cool with this, laughter is the easiest way to actually create connection. Not a giggle, a nervous laugh, but laughter. Being prepared, especially on Zoom, and doing the over-talking thing actually knocks it dead, but make sure you listen. You have 2 of these and 1 of these. Gone are the days of these long extracted qualification modalities. If you had a phone call before, make sure you're preempted. And more importantly, get to the point. Once you've built the rapport, let's cut to the chase. But, it's a big but. This day and age, you have to be an expert. You have to be perceived as the expert, and you have to not be just good at what you do. You have to be different. So having your USPs are critical. There are so many competitors in the marketplace, and you've got to be able to do your USP flow. We call it inking and USPing. It's not for today. We've already done it in the workshop previously. You know that for you guys that are in the Sales Authority Implementation Program and the SAC, you know what that flow is. Now, if you've got enough rapport, and please do not proceed unless you've got some type of connection, you're now going to go into the next part. If you want to make it easy to buy, your objective here is to make sure you have enough rapport, a 1 piece or 2 pieces of commonality, and the compelling reason. Once you've got those things and they trust you, you can then move to what's next in your presentation. Becoming the expert, as I said here, boom. It's the holy grail of opening doors. Do not proceed too fast. Now, specificity makes things real. And I really believe you've got to really get this right. So many times we get so generic, people just go, what was that all about? And they're completely overwhelmed. Hone in on their why. Why are you doing this? Why is this important? And more importantly, if you find a compelling reason to take action, that gives you permission to move forward. In your needs analysis, you're going to do this. You've got to find out what's working and what is not. And there's a word that I believe you must use in this day and age. There is a word, or really 2. What do you think? Or do you need? Are you requiring help to make some changes? Once you know the changes that need to take place, you need to be able to use those words, help and changes. Because when you use a help, that means I'm now giving someone permission to help me. And changes means I'm actually ready to move forward. That is a massive pre-frame that a lot of people forget to use. That has to be practiced. I'd like you to write those words down and put it into Vogue. All right, let's proceed. As I said, not super short today, but incredibly valuable. As you found out a little while ago, and I'm sure we'll recap it another time, the important strategy is critical. When you find out what they want and why they want it, then you're going to find out why it's important. And why is it important to fix now? You can then combine your inking and USPing there, and guess what? You've now got permission then to prove that you can actually fix the problem. And that's where we have to have trust mechanisms in place, which we'll do when we do proofing. It's a new system. So the number one motivator in human behavior is to avoid pain. It's gain pleasure, avoid pain. Pain, agitator, discomfort, or worry. We are paid money to fix problems. The bigger the problem, the higher the ticket item. Do not proceed to your presentation, your explanation, even your prices, or even give prices until you've found out what is their compelling reason, the thing that they must fix, and they must fix now. If it doesn't matter, I'll do it in a year or two, you have no compelling argument. So the probability of moving forward is low. Your job as a sales professional is to create enough rapport to create that opportunity to ask the right questions that's going to find a compelling reason to buy. It is recommended that you write down 9 or 12 things that you fix. What do you fix? Fix the big problems, get the big bucks. We are paid to help people fix their problems. The bigger the problem, the more compelling it becomes. They will not tell you their problem until you've connected. Do not rush this. You're not going to take a month of Sundays, but don't rush it. So the consequence of not finding their pain means that they can't gravitate towards their pleasure. Now, sure, everyone wants the pleasure, but the agitator, the pain, the worry, the frustration is the thing that's going to move them swiftly. How is it affecting them professionally and personally sometimes? This is what your needs analysis is all about. It's finding the compelling reason. So my job for you today is to make sure that you're going to say, right, where am I going to sit? How am I going to get into that zone so I can connect to find the compelling reason and have the questions? And we in this module, we're going to show you the questions. But my homework for you today is 2 things. How are you going to sit in a zone where you're going to get connection, right? Are you going to go eyeball to eyeball, belly to belly? What are you going to do? How are you going to make the modifications? Next thing is, I want you to write down 9 things that you do. What do you do? What do you fix? I can fix this. I can fix that. This is the result. This is another result. Now, remember, the result that they want is because they don't have the result now. I'll show you how to utilize those dialogues later. Okay. That's module chapter number 2, module number 4. Now, I'm sure that you've done the modules, and if you haven't, start. Doesn't have to be right from the beginning, but I would suggest you try to do them in order. For those of you that are not in the Sales Authority Club or even the Sales Authority Implementation Program, if you'd like to know, put some comments down the bottom, and we'll give you some info on it. All right, gang. Now, for those of you that are in the Sales Authority Club, make sure your regos are in for Friday. We've got a big day on how to ask confidently and get people buying from you easily. It's from 10 o'clock to 4:30. Make sure you're all ready to rock and roll, and make sure that you have a cup of tea ready, your little snacks I sent you, and in a comfortable place. Turn that phone off, and then we're going to do lots of great stuff. That means that at the end of it, you're going to be more confident to be able to have the person buy from you. But if you've got the compelling reason, you've got permission to do it. If you don't have compelling reason, you can be the best presenter in the world. You're not going to get an outcome. All right, guys. Bit of homework is, again, how are you going to sit? What are you going to do? Perspex, rapport zone, intimate zone. How are you going to do it? You're going to go eyeball to eyeball, belly to belly. What are you going to do? Have a strategy. Next thing is, write down 9 things, ideally, the things you fix, the results you get, the things you're helping them avoid. And then we'll meet up with you next week. Darren will come on and go into chapter number 3. It's a doozy. All right, guys. See you soon. Bye for now.